Kia ora whānau, welcome back. This is the Hamiora Brothers, and today we're going to be talking about longevity. My name's Fraser.
Hami and Jay.
Sure. Longevity.
So what is longevity?
Lifespan.
Lifespan and extending the lifespan and the quality of the lifespan. So we're kind of in an interesting time where we have a couple of things going on. We have a kind of cohort of people coming through that may be looking to live longer than the group before it on average, and then we also have a young generation coming through that are experiencing probably gross health effects that may also be the first generation to not live longer than the prior generation.
Yeah.
So we're kind of it's an interesting time.
It's going to be a very wide range depending on how well people treat themselves.
We definitely know the things that are preventing our longevity.
There's
So
a lot of variables.
yeah. Starting with the obvious, obesity. Obesity, induced cardiovascular disease, basically from poor living. Diabetes.
A third of the world's medical costs.
It's insane.
It's crooked.
What about, and also inactivity.
Yeah.
So inactivity, sitting is the new smoking.
I like that.
Yeah. So we have the obvious people are less active, people spend less time outside, and people eat more. So those are the three obvious categories. But you tell humans that that's going to kill them, and they don't care. They keep doing it anyway.
And most people you'd think want to live longer. Like,
or with more, or whatever time they have with
quality.
Greatest quality.
Yeah. We could all die at say 60. If you died at 60 years old, as long as your life up until that day is great, it's so much better.
As long as we were, as long as we had our, the physical capability to do the things we decide to do, and a mind to facilitate that. That would be much better than significant degeneration for the later time.
It's funny because there are a few people that are like, my years from 60 to 70, 80, 90, I don't really care about, like, I'll be fine to pass away then. But I think it'd be a byproduct. It'd be a byproduct of, controlling the variables of longevity. You'd start to enjoy your life more and more. It's like,
there's a lot of
purpose for staying here a longer time.
Social and cultural conditioning. You retire, you start taking it easy.
And those people that would be, they tell themselves that they'd be fine to pass away. Probably got a lack of modi, not necessarily.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
They don't know the purpose. It's theoretical. Like if you had that quality up to a short age compared to that long age but terrible physiology, but if you looked after yourself up to 60, you would probably start passing 100.
I'm sure we all know the odd 60, 70-year-old that you look at and they are functioning physically, cognitively at a level that's like, you're like, well,
20-year-olds.
You're better than a lot of people that are a lot younger than you. You know, I know a few myself.
Powerlifters, man. I saw the 7-year-old powerlifter. She picked up 115, and the way that she was articulating the thoughts was like, "Oh, you haven't degraded. You're like most 7-year-olds."
What about that? What about? Was anyone here for the last women's powerlift?
No.
Okay, so there was an 82-year-old man who was about 5'5".
Oh yeah.
And 65 kilos.
Still got a little bit of bow on his legs, so strong.
That's right. And apparently his deal of PB is 190 kilos.
Hey.
And he's 82. That's more than you.
Amazing.
Right?
I remember this dude that was moving furniture. He was like, I think it was 75, 80, and he said, "Just keep moving." That's what he says. Like, man, how you done? He's like, "It's never stopped."
Yeah. But let's try to redirect that into obvious things we can do for our longevity. The obvious ones is remove the stresses. So let's remove the gut stresses.
Wow.
So
decreasing stress.
Absolutely.
The thing.
Hang on. So let's
inflammation in the body.
Inflammation. Let's start with the guts, which is the refined sugar, the overeating, the eating all day. Right. So time restricted eating. Reducing processed and refined carbohydrate ban, calorie restriction. Everyone, all the long lifers have a calorie restricted diet. It also used to be a lot more common, particularly in the old people, particularly grew up in depression, ration and war times, to have less food and less often.
Exercise,
and movement, correct. A lot of our older generation had labour-intensive work. I believe it's the ones that didn't stop working after retirement. Retirement's a killer, man.
And it'd be the big three, like muscular strength,
correct,
mass, cardiovascular efficiency, and
strength reserve,
connective tissue mobility.
Strength reserve, man, and muscle malleability. You're going to lose that movement in your muscle from being sedentary. You're also going to lose the quality of your nervous system to be able to create those triggers, and the muscle belly is going to shrink. So the older you get, obvious things, less testosterone, less cell regeneration from growth hormone. So these things are decelerating, so you have to do whatever you can to minimize the degeneration.
There's also, we're talking about before, social interaction.
Absolutely.
The more intimate relationships you have, either with partners, your family, your friends, the longer you're going to live.
Absolutely.
Real relationships, not
real
Facebook
talk.
ones.
That's right. That's right. True connection. Human connection.
What defines an intimate relationship is, it's another thing. How much presence you have in conversation with that person,
and how
that's another topic.
and how connected and honest you can be in that following. If you want a true interaction, you have to be true. You have to be able to be deeply true with someone. And that's real connection, and also the sharing of meaningful experience. You don't develop meaningful relationship unless you engage with meaningful experience, and that can come from strife, trauma, challenge, celebration. Exactly. So that's why people look for celebration, because we have this lack of connection and we seek love and connection. That's really the essence of why people go to these dumb things like fucking Tomorrowland and Burning Man, because you're not getting the satisfaction of real honesty and connection in your life. So I have to go to Burning Man to take drugs and connect because you're not connecting with them, but connect with strangers.
You're having that connection, social interaction, but you're also introducing a lot of toxins into your body. Wonder if it's increasing or decreasing your lifespan.
I think
probably decreasing.
I think increasing in a moderate amount. You have to introduce the little bits of trauma because it's offset by the peak of the serotonin and your celebration is good for our well-being, man. We have to have it's letting go of a lot of stress. It's letting go of emotional and mental stress. It's just letting that go, and it's bringing in a lot of celebration. It's bringing in fun and love and abundance in other ways. So I believe it offsets it. But you can't do it every Saturday. You can't do it every Friday, Saturday. It's celebrations were a intermittent thing. It was once in a while. Christmas, and it should be
2-3 months. You have a
here and there, man. And the connected self knows as well. It knows when it's been grinding away and it needs to, and it's a release. That's all it is. It really is.
You give it to yourself. I've done the hard work.
Also
to celebrate and connect.
instead of we do seek out, and some of these gigs are really good things because you're going with your connected group, and you're just sharing that, So there's layers to it.
Sports games. It's almost like a form of ego dissolution. You remove yourself from the.
Well, we've removed the success of the tribal activity, and we've replaced it with festivity, right?
You're now part of a group that all operates together rather than just fighting for yourself.
You've got a pack.
So that's part of the social well-being for that longevity. But let's
you could breathing.
Yes.
Like the closer you get to death, the more
shorter
the shorter, more shallow your breathing becomes. There's tons of research showing everyone, on the deathbed, if they're suffering from cardiovascular disease, in-range obesity, diabetes, any pulmonary restrictions, they're breathing 15, 16 times a minute, as opposed to 4 to 5 times a minute. It's extending the length of your breath, extending the length of your life.
And that's often why there's been such a focus on cardiovascular fitness, right?
It's always been VO2 max in a hospital in a clinical sense. as being a big thing.
But I agree with you when you've discussed it has more to do with the ability to connect and control breath and diaphragm. I absolutely agree with that because I need to be able to consciously control that.
It's buzzing when you start to feel your diaphragm contract, and actually you start to get a sense of what that muscle is doing on the inside of your abdomen.
But absolutely, that breath competence. But let's also not forget the mind stimulation, right? Mental stimulation.
Yeah.
We have to keep this sharp. We have to think about all the brains, the gut, the body, the community, the spiritual, and the cognitive. You know, all those things. But reducing the stress of all those mechanisms whilst extending the stimuli. See that, Amy?
Yeah.
So whilst that is what I believe is the fountain of all those things, is reducing the negative stresses of all those things and improving the quality of the inputs to those things.
It's back to that use it or lose it again.
So
those two categories. Removing the stress so you're not harming yourself to a point where you need to back off, and then also using the body so that your body realizes that it needs to keep that muscle mass, it needs to keep that brain mass, otherwise it wants to be efficient.
It starts to dial back.
Yeah, it'll wilt away because it wants to save energy. It'll dial back on the brain, it'll dial back on the muscle because it doesn't need it. It just wants to have an easy, cruisy life.
Some of the longest living, some of my longest living aunties, they're involved in the community. They cranked their garden, and a lot of them kept their brain active. My auntie Pariho, I think she lived to 99. She might have cracked 100. I'm pretty sure she might have. But her routine was the crossword. That was her thing. Like she fucking smashed. Like she smashed the crossword.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that, amongst other things.
You've got to keep stimulating the brain.
Absolutely.
With new things.
Yep.
Learning and creating.
The brain can create a whole bunch of other things. You know, it can it uses a lot of energy. It absolutely.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it in a future episode. I think the ability to create and stimulate the brain needs presence. Needs you need to be able to find that flow state, which is a big part of I think decreasing the overall stress and inflammation in the body as well. When you can quiet down that internal subconscious chatter, then you feel it in the room when people become present and they get out of their head.
It's no longer that over-analysing feeling.
The monkey brain talking.
You just become part of something. That's an awesome feeling.
It is.
Smooth, everything goes right.
Flow.
Flow.
All right. Over now. Longevity. Ciao.
Kia ora.